Okay, it's just a basic skater hopper. It can be swung across streams or pulled like a popper on still water. It's pretty effective. I made one with a chartreuse belly, just a foam top. That's all it is. And one we're going to tie right now is the same thing exactly, but with a kind of an orange belly. So we begin, it's a little more complicated, but not really all that hard. We begin with an Umpqua Model 200, TMC 200R hook. I'm using a size 8. You can use a size 10, 12. We're using silicone rubber legs. Comes in a pack like this. Looks pretty wiggly. We're using soft hen saddle pack or saddle hackle. And just using one feather. I've got a mix in my dubbing. Looks a little bit like this. It's a mix of Arizona Diamond Dub in October Caddis and Kaufman's Golden Stone dubbing. On the green one, I used Arizona Diamond Dub in Chartreuse. And of course, feather hackle, about 10 strands. And I'm using Ultra Thread 140 in olive. You can use brown, tan, anything like this. And foam, just regular craft foam. I think that's 2 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken. And a little bit of Zap-A-Gap medium CA. It's a little bit thicker than normal, so that really works out quite nicely. And ultra wire. This is brassy and copper. So we're going to start by simply wrapping our hook, creating a thread base. Well, we're not going consecutively. We're just running a basic thread base down the hook till about halfway through that bend. And then back, we're going to have a lot of holes and gaps in this that's going to hold glue. And that's what we're really concerned about. We got to hold a little bit of glue in there. You'll see why in a moment. Now we're going to sit in our pheasant feathers. Tail is about not quite a hook length. And again, right down to where we wrap that thread. Build up a little body with the rest of the pheasant, and then we can trim that off. Now we're going to get in there with a little bit of our super glue, and we're going to put just a little bit across the back of this. That's all we need. We can take our needle, spread it around a little bit. We want most of it on top. And we take our foam strip, leave it long, you can always trim it off, and we make just a little bit of angle cuts right back in this area. We're going to set that right on top of that super glue, right about in here, and we're going to start wrapping loosely at first, keeping that foam on the top of the hook until we get back to the point where we tied in our pheasant feather tail. Let it hang back there. Using just a little bit of dubbing wax on the thread. We're going to make a dubbing noodle. Relatively generous. We don't want it too simple or too thin. It needs to stick, not come off the thread, of course, but it doesn't have to be super thin. And again, as normal, we just keep adding until we're where we need to be, which is about a 1/4 inch back from the eye. So about right in that area right there, because this is going to be picked out a little bit anyway. Then we're going to take our feather. We're going to grab the tip, pull back. We have a kind of a cone at the tip. We're going to put that cone right across right where we finished our dubbing. Trim that off. And we're going to wrap about three wraps, full wraps, all the way around here. Pretty tight on top of each other. We don't want to go very far down that shaft. And I think I'm going to go one more wrap. Ouch. Gotta watch the hook points.
Yeah.
Pull those back. Tie them up. There. Now we want to kind of separate these at the top. You can use a brush or you can simply pull them down with your fingers. And then we're going to pull, let's trim that off a little bit. That's a little too much. I'm going to pull the foam back across the top. Pull all the hackle back so we don't tie any inside. And then we're going to loosely at first. You don't want to put too much pressure in this foam or you'll cut it. And we're going to be like so. Now we're going to get our rubber legs. And all we want right now, we're going to pull off 2 strands of the rubber. Some of that silicon end comes off on there. We want to cut that, and then we're going to cut them in half. So we're going to have 4 strands of equal length. Pull out 2. Tip this onto the side a little bit so we can see it better, and then we're going to tie those right in half, right where we tied that foam. Kind of back down, right at the underneath edge of that foam is where we want those rubber legs. Good. Back across on the other side for the other 2. And we'll trim these to proper length little bit later on, another step. You want to get them in there first. Good. Makes it nice and wiggly down in there. Now we're going to take and we're going to bend the foam back. We're going to want it in excess of the length of the hook eye. See where that's at right in here? So we want a pretty good head on this. Now we're going to take our thread. We're going to wrap it again, keep it up on top. When the glue dries, it really holds this foam in place nicely, and it won't rotate on the hook very well. So that's what we're looking at. When we can trim this tab a little bit more if you want to. You don't need to really trim it a lot. About right in that area. And then pulling the rubber legs back, pulling everything back. We go to the end of the hook and do a whip finish. Pull the rubber legs down gently. You don't want to stretch them too far. And then we want to go right back about to where the end of the dubbing is. And we're going to cut those off. Then we can take a brush, pick out some of that dubbing in here. Want it nice and bushy along with those hackle. And there you go, gentlemen. Skater hopper. Floats like crazy. And because of the angle of the head, it'll skip across the water pretty good. Act like a popper on still water, or it'll keep that fly high and tight if you're skipping across a stream. So I would say cast it on the far side of a stream, and right about the time it gets to your target area on the stream, start swinging it across the stream. And that'll skip pretty good.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but beyond fishing for trout with it, it'd be a great fly for bass fishing too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would probably even attract carp, I would think. I'm starting to see a lot more surface flies out there for carp. So something like that would work for carp, panfish, bass. Large enough on a size 8, like I've got right here, that might even attract something along the lines of a northern or even a walleye.
Nice. There we go.
And of course, any color combination you want, nice and even. You can pull these legs up a little higher if you want to. It'll float pretty good. Relatively simple to tie. You can tie a lot of them in an afternoon.
How long was that foam strip that you had? It was about 3 inches when you started?
Yeah, roughly 2.5 to 3 inches long. I didn't trim too much of it off. You could even leave that up a little bit, or you could even, if you wanted to, tie in an indicator. A little bit of yellow yarn. You can tie in a puff of yellow yarn right on the top, right about right in that area right here, and have a bit of an indicator for that. You can also tie in some white, like ice dub in underneath this wing, so it'll float back over the top in a little white puff. You imitate a lot of different insects that way. Tie it more in a green or maybe a slightly darker brown, and it would imitate a grasshopper pretty quickly and easily. You could leave these back legs a little bit longer, or even tie them in a knot so it looks like a heavier leg.
Any other questions, anybody?
Okay, like that foam strip, is that something you have to get from a fly shop, or?
No, you can go down to any craft store.
Okay.
This is just a part of the foam sheet that I get at, I think it was a Hobby Lobby. Huge
Okay.
sheet. And you can just cut off whatever you need out of it.
Oh, okay.
I've got one of these big Rubbermaid tubs just full of that stuff.
Got a question. Where's a good place to get like glues and stuff?
To get what?
Glue.
Oh, glue.
Glue.
I get mine at the hardware store.
Okay.
They carry Zap-A-Gap, or I order it from the. Well, I was just in Rapid City, so I stopped at the Fly Angler and got a new bottle of it, along with about $400 worth of other stuff.
Yeah,
I get in there and I
question.
start packing my
Attaboy.
basket, and I don't really realize where I'm at till they tally it up.
Attaboy, Jim.
Yeah, there
How
you
about
go.
how about the resin glue that you use the blue light for? Is that worth investment?
It is, but it's only good for certain things. It's good for building up a head. It's good for finishing up on the wrap, the finishing wrap, so forth, protecting that. It's good for building shells over certain substances. But as far as gluing something down, like this foam right here, it doesn't work very well.
Okay. So you
So
recommend.
you need something like super glue for that.
What
Or
do
you
you
can
like?
go down to the hardware store and just buy gel super glue. It works great.
The glue you're looking for is like it said on the Zap-A-Gap was CA glue. Charlie Alpha CA glue. That'll do the
Yes.
Okay.
So what hardware store carries that?
Just about anywhere. I mean,
Just
I'm
about
pretty sure
anywhere
you
will
can,
carry it. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can get it like at Ace Hardware and that sort of thing. It's just super glue. And used to be when you got super glue, when it first came out, all it was in those little foil tubes,
Right.
and all there was the runny stuff. But now they make the thin, the medium, the thick, the gel, the whatever. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Now-
just get the gel for this particular situation.
another place you can get it, and it's probably cheaper per ounce, but it's going to be a pretty good sized bottle, so it's going to be expensive. It's actually woodworkers use it a lot, and so the one place I know you can get it in Sioux Falls is at Stan Houston Tool and Equipment. They've just moved into that Kmart
Right.
store or building on West 12th. And if you go just to the aisle that has all of their glue in it, you'll find CA glue there. And they've
Okay.
got it in thin, medium, thick, whatever. The CA technique, for the record, stands for cyanoacrylate, which just means super glue. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
super glue is. So
Don't eat that one, kids.
I'm sure you can get small bottles of it at Ace Hardware.
Okay.
Another thing you can do, if you push this down a little bit, makes a little bit more of a round head, you can use a little bit of glue and you can glue on eyes and imitate a frog in maybe a larger size. So this particular shape, a real general shape, it doesn't have a particular name. It's just such a general design that you can be used for all kinds of different things.
All I can say is I'm gonna be using that a lot when we get back to the pond.
Yeah.
I was noticing last night I was downtown Sioux Falls. We're at well, my daughter got married, so we had a reception
Just stop
at
recording.
Crave along the river there.